Welcome, students. I hope all of you are fine at your home in this pandemic situation. Just follow the rules and regulations what government has decided. So just maintain the social distance and be safe and happy at your homes. With these words, I, Rashmi Pandey, Assistant Professor in Computer Science and Engineering Department, is going to start today's online video lecture, which is based on implementation of C++ classes and objects. So students, this is the lecture number 4 in the series of the lectures which is related to your subject OOPM, that is Object Oriented Programming and Methodology. So students, in my previous lectures, I have given the basic idea about the object oriented programming concepts like inheritance, encapsulation, polymorphism, and data abstraction. So, along with that, I have also given the basic idea about how to develop the classes and how to declare the objects. So, in today's class, I will cover the practical implementation of all those concepts, the basic concepts of declaring classes and objects. So, let us move on and understand how we can create the classes and objects practically. But before that, let us go through the following points or the headings of today's lecture. So that is prerequisite, first, second, objective, third, declaration of a class, fourth, working with multiple objects, then next, declaration of functions inside the class, then declaration of functions outside the class, finally, declaration of functions with parameters. So these are the today's outlines and headings. Let us move on. So the next is prerequisite of the topic. So just like I have explained in my every lecture that I need some prerequisites of the topic. Prerequisite means some advanced knowledge which you must have before learning about any topic. So for today's lecture, students, you must have the knowledge about C programming concepts along with the knowledge of various basic data types like integer, character, float, string, etc. Also, you must understand the concept of functions. And finally, you should familiar with the editor of C++ so that you can easily run your program, compile your program, etc. But once again, I'm repeating same thing that if you don't know any one of these, then no need to worry. We will cover everything in your webinar as per your requirement. Okay, now let us move further. Objective of the topic. So the main objective of mine to teach this lecture to you is to just give you the training of various programming concepts and also give knowledge about how to develop basic C++ programs. So let's move on and just take a tour of implementation of classes and objects. So students, this is the online compiler which I am using, and this you can found while writing simply on Google online compiler. So the very first link which you found is of online GDB compiler. So it helps you to compile the program very easily without giving you much pain to download the C++ editors. So this is the compiler which is ready to use. Now let us start doing our very first program. So the very first line which you can write in your C++ editor is #include iostream.h. So what does this line mean? If you can see that this hash sign is being putting in front of the include keyword, and every time it is putting in front of the include keyword. So what does that mean actually? So this hash sign is called the preprocessor directive. Now, what is the meaning of this preprocessor directive? The meaning of this preprocessor directive is that if you can put this sign in front of the keyword hash include iostream.h in front of this include keyword, then it means that this line needs not to be compiled again. Okay, like if you can write any program, or while writing any program, so that program needs to be compiled. Okay, so that it can remove its errors, or it can be debugged. Debugging is required basically for writing every source program. But if you can put this hash sign, or wherever this hash sign has been put in front of any line, then it means that the line which is written after this sign need not to be compiled, because it is already compiled by the compiler, or it is already been checked, and you are not supposed to check that line again. So that is why it is called preprocessor directive. And for including the header files, you are supposed to include this sign which is called include. And after that, you can include, or you can write the name of the header file which you want to include in your program. Now the question came into your mind, students, that what is the basic need of this header file? So students, if you have gone through my lecture number 3, so there I have explained one thing about the difference in between C and C++. So in that I have explained that for printing any document, you need printf function. And as well as if you need to print anything in C++, you need this cout. So here this cout works as an object, and there printf works as a function. But while using that printf function or this cout object here, you need not to worry about the functioning of all such uh, items which is present in your program, or all such keywords which is present in your program. So where is the functioning of all these keywords have written? So this is written, all the functionings of such kind of keywords have been written in these header files. So like IOStream, you will be find various and multiple types of header files, which you may include in your program according to your necessity. Okay, so like if you want to use any mathematical function which is already defined, or which is predefined by the programmer of this C++ editor, then you are supposed to include math.h. So this is the header file which you need to include in your program for the proper functioning of mathematical functions. So likewise, you can include these header files in your program. Now, come to the next part. The line which is written here using namespace std. Students, this line, about this line, we can talk later on. First of all, just focus on how to develop a simple basic C++ program. So the program which you have seen in front of your screen is very simple program, which is of course using the concept of C++, or you can say the syntax of C++, but it is not basically the, you can say the standardized C++ program, because it does not contain any classes. Okay, the class declaration is not there, the object declaration is not there. So it is not the standardized program, but yes, still it is the very basic and very first program you found. So this program simply says that some code you have written inside this main function. So this main function is having the return type int here, and if you have given the return type int of any function, then it is mandatory that you can return some integer value. Okay, so because of this, we have written this code here, return 0, so that it will not give you any type of error. Otherwise, in few editors, this may need not to be right here. You simply write void. Okay, then also it will work. And when you will write void here, then you are not supposed to write here this line return 0, because the void kind of data type says that you don't need to return any value. So in this very simple program, what I have written, this cout is written, and the hello world is the line which I need to print onto the console, because the full form of cout is console output. Students, I have shared already my notes related to the lectures which I have covered through online video lectures. So you can go through that and get a complete understanding about what is the meaning of this cout. But till then, uh, if we are using this thing in the program, we can simply write cout, and the full form of cout is console output. So it is basically used for writing the things on the console, or it is basically used to print the things on the console. So let us just run this program and check what will be the output. So I have simply run this program through this online editor, and then I found the result, hello world. So likewise, if you want to write next line, then you can write again further like cout. Okay, the caps lock is on, cout, and you can simply write my name is Rashmi, and if you can write your name, then you can write that name and then see the result, what will happen. So likewise, again, if I can write something else, so this will gives you this result also. Let us run it. So it is compiling and gives you the result. Okay, the first result is hello world, and the second result is Rashmi Pandey, which I have just edited. So likewise, you can write C++, a very simple basic program. Now, let us move on our further things. Okay, which can says that how to declare the program. So let us write our programs. Very basic program, how to declare a class. So for that, students, I am simply writing here also. I am start writing here. You just put the class keyword, okay, and then write the name of the class, my class. So very simply, very gently, you can write the name of the class and then open the curly brace. Now press enter. Now you are supposed to write the names of the variables. So as I told you that in class we can mention the access specifiers. So there are three types of specifiers present: private, public, and protected. So the data members should be private, so that it can easily hide from the outside world, and the data members, or you can say the member functions, should be public, so that it can be easily accessible in the main function. Okay, now let us start. So after that, you can write public access specifier. Okay, and in that you can simply declare your variables like int a, and then you can mm, if you want to declare another variable, you can simply declare another variable, that is int b. Okay, now if you want to close the class, you can simply close your class. So as you can see here, how I have declared my class, just by writing the keyword class, and then I have written the class name, and then I have written this public keyword, and then this int a and int b I have written. Fine. Now let us move further into this. Uh, Now I will write its main part. Okay, so where I can access these uh, data members directly from the main. So how I can access these data members from the main? So for that, students, I need to declare the object belongs to that class. Okay, so how I can declare the object belongs to that class? So let us just write and declare the object name here. Fine. So for that, students, I need to first of all write the name of the class, and then I need to decide the name of the object, which is you can say obj. Fine. And here, as you can see, I have declared my data members in public section. So you can directly access these data members without taking much into consideration about the security, because this is I have given here in the public section itself. So this you can write like obj dot a, and just give the value like 2, then put semicolon here. Further obj and dot operator b equals to 3. So as you can see, I am using these variables directly from the main place. Now just print these variables here. So simply write obj dot a and then obj dot b. Now let us compile this program, and let's see how this will work exactly. Okay, so once again I'm using the run tab for executing the program. But before this execution, I am just putting these two lines under comment section. So as you can see here, after putting this double slash sign, our the line which is written next to this sign will become comment. So what is the meaning of comment, students? Comment are basically used to describe the things. Like here I am using because I don't want to make this line compile and show on the console. So if you are putting this line or this sign in front of any line, then it means that your line will not be compiled. Okay, and it is like nothing in your program. Fine. So basically, we are using these comments just to describe the meaning of that particular line of or of that particular instructions. Now execute your program. So let us just wait what it will give. Okay, it will give 23, but it is not 23, it is 2 and 3. So why it is coming like 23? Because here I have not put any kind of, statement here which makes the gap in between these two. So for this, I will put here end L, or I will put here this slash n. Now again, you can run this program. And now what you have seen here, you have seen here this 2 and 3. Okay, so likewise, you can execute your program easily. Fine. Okay. Now let us move further. let us do another program. Now, this is another program in which I have explained how to use multiple objects. In the previous program, students, you have seen how to use a single object. Now in this program, you can see how to declare multiple objects so that you can easily understand about the idea of the concept which we have already discussed. Like we have seen that object is an instance of a class. So what is the meaning of that instance? So as you can see here, now this is the class car, and it is having these common properties which belongs to each and every type of a car. Like every car is having some brand, every car is having model, every car is having its manufacturing year. So these are the common properties which you have found in every car. So for giving different values, you need to declare different objects. So at first we have declared the object in main functions, which is obj1, and then I have provided the values for this object 1, like obj1 dot brand. So brand I have given here BMW, and then the model I have given here X5, and the year which I have given for obj1 is 1999. Now let us declare another object for this class. So I am declaring here by writing the name of the class first, and then by writing the name of the object second. Now let us start giving values for this object also. So I am giving the value here of obj2 dot brand, and the value which I have given here is Ford. Okay, the car Ford, or any car which you like, you can give the name like Alto or Brezza, any car name which you like. Now I am giving the name or the value for the second attribute, model. So equal to in double quotes, because this is the string variable. So I have to write everything inside the double quotes. So the value which I have given here is its model name. Fine. Now next I have given the year of manufacturing for this car Ford, and likewise I will give the year of manufacturing, and which is 2000. So here I have not put any double quotes because this is the variable of integer type. Now next what I do, I will print the values for both these objects. So cout once again car dot, sorry, here I need to write the name of the object, not the name of the class. So first obj1 dot model, or the brand name first, then I'll put this sign. This is called extraction operator. Okay, and as I already told you that the notes which I have shared, in which I have given the complete details about all these operators and all these keywords like cout and cin completely. Now let us come to our point, obj1 dot brand and obj1 dot model, and then further obj1 dot year. So these are the values which will get printed after for the object 1. The values which will print that belongs to the object 1. Now once again I will write the same thing for this obj2 dot brand, obj uh, 2 dot model, and then obj 2 dot year. So as you can see here, I have written here 2 lines. So in both these lines, I need to print the values which belongs to object 1 and object 2. So what the main thing you have seen here, that although I am using the same variable names here, but still they are keeping different values for different objects. So now let us execute the program and let's see what will be the result. So here I am executing the program, and what I have found here, okay, everything is comes under mess. So let us just put a gap in between this just by putting this end L. Okay, this also you can use in place of slash n so that you can get the answer easily. See, this is BMW, and then the next is X5 and 1999. So these are the values which you can get against OBJ1, and these are the values which you can get against the OBJ2. So here also, if you want to maintain a gap in between, so just do one thing. You just put another sign and write like this. Okay, so you can easily found the gap in between the various values. See what will be the result. Okay, I think this is not working under this. Okay, let me give one more trial. I am simply putting some space here, and then if I can run. So let's see whether it will work. Yes, now it works. So likewise, you can segregate the values in the same line. Okay, students. So what you get in today's lecture, like how to create a simple class, and how to create a simple object, declare object. And here in this program, you have learned that how to create multiple objects, so that you can easily understand the concept of this, that the object is basically nothing but the instances of a class. So as you can see here, students, how easily we can handle the variables of a class just by declaring the objects and use these objects. So in my next video lecture, I will tell you the usage of functions and the parameters inside that functions. Also, I will explain about how these functions and declared inside the class and outside the class. So, let us move further towards the end of this lecture, just by reading the objectives of the topic. So, once again, I am reading the objective of the topic, because this is what I am expecting from you people. Like, I think you have better understood about how to declare the class and how to declare the objects, and how we can use the data members by using the class objects. So this is what the learning outcomes which is expecting from you people after attending this whole lecture. Like, you can make out some sense and logical skills after learning through this lecture, and by understanding the concepts of object oriented programming with the help of examples which I have given to you. So we will cover more interesting things in my upcoming next video lecture. Till then, if you want to refer, you can use these references for further studies of yours. Now, thank you. Thank you so much, students. Take care. Be happy. Stay at your home and stay safe. Thank you. Thank you so much.